Hey everybody, Jeff Oriema here. This is a softer, bad GraphQL takes video than usual, because this one is not based on a big misunderstanding. It's not even really wrong per se, but many of us in the GraphQL community have seen people make less than optimal choices based on some version of this take, of this advice. And the take reads something like this. GraphQL is for front-end clients. For service-to-service traffic, use something else. REST, gRPC, Thrift, whatever. But not GraphQL. Here's Exhibit A, a sort of roundup post published earlier this year by API Scout. Link in the description. 3 API protocols, 3 distinct trade-offs. REST is the universal default, works everywhere, caches by default, and every developer already knows it. GraphQL solves over/under-fetching for complex client-driven queries, but adds caching complexity. gRPC delivers maximum performance for internal microservice communication, but can't run in a browser without a proxy. Start with REST, layer in GraphQL for specific front-end needs, reserve gRPC for internal east-to-west calls where latency matters. Before I get into why this take is bad, not egregious, but bad, I'll acknowledge something. If one service needs a narrow, low latency implementation level operation from another service, sure, gRPC might be exactly right. A queue could be exactly right. A database call, yeah, maybe that's what you need. And I'm not here to make every internal get thing call travel through a GraphQL gateway dressed in a little tuxedo. But the caller runs on a server is not enough information to choose an API or protocol, whatever you have it. The better question is this consumer asking for implementation level RPC, or is it consuming the platform's domain model? Because servers can be real consumers of a product graph. It's not just for like client-side applications and agents touching end users or internal users or something like that. React server components run on a server. Server-driven UI runs on a server. Backend for front ends runs on a server. Internal tools can run on a server, right? Agent workflows, orchestration services, etc. all run on servers. But they all need to ask, what consumer is this, right? What are their active subscriptions? Which products can they access? What support cases are open? And that's not necessarily implementation coordination, right? That's consuming the business domain. And if your web app gets that domain through GraphQL, but your internal tools get it through REST, your orchestration layer gets it through gRPC, and your agents get it through some special purpose API, you could have a problem there. So here's the line I want you to remember. Every new protocol over the same domain is a fork of your platform. Now, I don't mean that every new wire format is evil. I mean that every consumer-facing contract over the same business capability is a liability. It's easy to say that a protocol is just a serialization method, right? But typically it also becomes an API service with its own auth model, error semantics, right? Lifecycle documentation, even observability, client expectations, deprecation process, right? And governance burden. Not everybody's thinking about that from Jump Street when the project shows up in Jira. So now like a customer subscription status could exist in GraphQL, but also have a variant in REST and gRPC and an agent API version or whatever. Whatever you named it, right? 6 months from now, who knows what happens to all those implementations. And maybe all those are reasonable, but you should treat them suspiciously. They're meaningful architectural decisions, not like free implementation flexibility. Every one of those services can drift, and they're now part of your platform governance structure. So one gets the new authorization rule first, maybe. One returns a slightly different definition of active, right, if there's some product drift. So like, what happens when there's a field that nobody remembers to deprecate? An undocumented API, right? So you sneak that into production and then a bunch of critical systems start to depend on it. And then there you go. So that's the missing perspective, I think, in the services should not use GraphQL argument. And the mistake there is in classifying APIs by where the caller runs, instead of what kind of contract the caller needs. A lot of the talking points here, Mark Lara has been pointing out. He's been making the contemporary version of this case that service-to-service GraphQL is not automatically an anti-pattern. He did a talk at GraphQL Conf 2026 and a blog post on this subject, and I'll link to it in the description. When several consumers need to navigate the same governed business model, GraphQL can be the shared contract instead of making every consumer invent another path through the platform, right? If you invested your time wisely in setting up that platform, you need a very clear reason why that platform all of a sudden isn't going to cut it for a certain consumer, even if it's an internal use case, right? And that gets even more interesting in the AI era, right? An orchestration service may need a structured view of a customer, a product catalog, permissions, workflow state, etc. An agent may need bounded typed access to the same concepts. And these are server-side processes, of course, but they can still be product domain consumers, not just low-level implementation clients. Additional guidance can be found in an ebook called Principled GraphQL. Again, link in the description. The first tenet, one graph, and the 10th tenet, separate the graph layer from the service layer, are instructive in this case. The graph should be an abstraction over your data sources, and the implementation can, and in many cases should, be federated. Behind the graph, sure, use whatever protocol works, gRPC, REST, whatever, events, right, a database, whatever makes the system work. And so the point then doesn't become use GraphQL literally everywhere. It's really just more about don't just casually create a second product surface over the same domain just because some folks on the internet said it was probably a good idea. Sometimes a service really is another consumer of the platform's domain model. And in that case, making it use a completely separate API or protocol just because it happens to run on a server is not architectural purity. It's a platform fork. So service-to-service GraphQL, not automatically correct, right? But service-to-service means no GraphQL, right? That's the wrong mental model. Ask what contract the caller needs. Go from there. What do you think about service-to-service GraphQL? If you're doing this in prod, leave a comment. Really eager to learn from your experiences. If you agree, drop a like. If I missed something, post a comment. Let me know. And subscribe for more bad GraphQL takes. I try to do these pretty regularly. That's it for now. See you next time.